This summer, my son Phoenix and I had the chance to take a trip that we'll probably never forget. What started as a 3-week ministry trip to Uganda turned into an incredible father-son adventure in Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Botswana, all thanks to some creative planning and some creative travel hacking. So before the safari adventures and before Victoria Falls and everything, the trip began with the 6 of us, our family, Megan, myself, and the 4 kids, serving together in Uganda. We spent about 3 weeks there working outside of Gulu, Uganda, a place that we have grown to love and spent many months over the past few years there. You can check out some of the videos that we've shared about our time there in the description below. And I was even able to capture a wedding while I was there this time, and that was a pretty cool experience to do in Uganda. There's something really special about being there as a whole family. Uganda has a way of slowing you down, opening your eyes, and drawing you into the community. It's always meaningful, kind of messy, and also beautiful, and it's exactly the kind of experience we love to have with our kids. As our family time in Uganda wrapped up, though, Megan and the other kids had to head back home for a summer camp, while Phoenix and I were able to stay back. He was too young for summer camp, and so we got to go on a father-son adventure over to Victoria Falls. All right, we just crossed over from Zimbabwe into Zambia. We're at Victoria Falls. Phoenix has got his hood on. We're in Zambia at the Victoria Falls Bridge. Viewpoint. Pretty sweet. All right, so here's a little bit about how we got there. We booked round-trip tickets for the 2 of us from Atlanta to Entebbe, Uganda. But there's a perk with United when using miles that's actually gone away now, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. It's called the excursionist perk. So it allowed you to take a free one-way flight within the region when booking an international round trip using miles. So we transferred Chase points to United, booked our main flights, and added that leg inside of Africa from Entebbe to Victoria Falls. It's one of the most beautiful places on earth. Sadly, United removed the excursionist perk just a few months ago, but I'm so glad we got to use it while it lasted. Though this particular option has gone away now, there's often different tricks, not only to use your points for travel, but to get extra value out of them and make those points take you even farther, just like the excursionist perk. Just be on the lookout for things that are out there to get the most value out of your points. All right, so we arrived in Zimbabwe. We stayed in the town of Victoria Falls. We stayed at the N1 Hotel. We flew in from Uganda down to Zimbabwe, and we spent 5 nights at the hotel there in Victoria Falls, the N1 Hotel. It's simple, safe, clean, and right there, it's a perfect spot right there in the middle of town. And so it was our home base to explore the town of Victoria Falls, but also the area. Victoria Falls is one of those destinations that looks unreal, even when you're standing in front of it. And the coolest part is you can see it from 2 different countries. All right, Phoenix and I are at Victoria Falls. We're on the Zambia side right now. We've been in Zimbabwe. We're staying in Zimbabwe, but it's pretty awesome. We are at the national park on the Zambian side, and we've been here this afternoon and got soaked. We've been drying our clothes out. Across the bridge there, Knife Edge Bridge. This is the island on the Zambian side, Zimbabwe here. Phoenix and I just came through the Knife Edge Bridge. We got soaked. I can't drive the camera off because everything I have on is wet. So we went into the park on the Zimbabwe side and the Zambia side. On the Zambia side, you're suddenly like inside the power of the falls. You're close enough that you're getting soaking wet from the spray, and it's hard to even hear because of just the roar of the falls. On the Zimbabwe side, the falls hit you with a wide sweeping viewpoints. There's tons of little spots to stop along the way. There's tons of viewpoints along the way in the national park to check out the falls. And there's this massive curtain of water roaring across the gorge. You can't even see the other side sometimes. Different levels of water are there during different parts of the year. We were there in July. Water levels were pretty high. Now the region, I think, was kind of in a drier season, but the river was full and there was tons of water. right, so we just finished walking through all the viewpoints at Victoria Falls National Park in Zimbabwe. And after doing the Zambia side yesterday, the stuff in Zambia, you can see the waterfall a lot better. We're here, it's like, I think there's 15 overlooks that look over the falls on the Zimbabwe side, and you probably 6 or 7 of them you can't see anything but just a white wall. You can see back there, that it's just a cloud, and it's coming up from the falls, and it's all the way across. So it goes down in the gorge and it comes back up and it just blows up the mist and spray all the way back over here, all the way over there. It goes way up in the sky. I mean, that's all spray. That's not clouds. There's a ultralight flying up there. This is all spray. Yeah, the clouds are there. This is all spray from the waterfall. We did a late afternoon into sunset visit on the Zambian side, and then early sunrise time on the Zimbabwe side. We did this in particular to be watching the sun go down and then come up over the falls each day. 2 countries, 2 completely different perspectives. It's an easy walk across the bridge and you're watching the falls almost the whole way. If you ever go, you've definitely got to do both. They're both totally worth it. We also had some awesome game drive and safari experience while we were there too. One evening, we headed out to the Zambezi National Park, which is just right outside of Victoria Falls, for a sunset game drive. We watched the wildlife come to life as the heat of the day faded, and we saw tons of different birds, zebras, warthogs, tons of different animals out there in the Zambezi National Park. It was a beautiful spot. The sky turned to a golden color. Elephants gathered at sunset near this watering hole right in front of us. There were dozens of elephants, all bathing in the mud and hanging out in the cool of the day. We'd been at the same spot just a few hours earlier, and it was completely empty. It was like they all had an appointment, and they knew what time the meeting was and where the meeting was going to be, and they met up with just tons of elephants there. It was really cool. We drove right up in the middle of them. So this trip was filled with some amazing experiences, but the full-day safari in Chobe National Park in Botswana was pretty incredible. What we're going to do?
Ride on a cruise, also known as a boat safari.
Chobe is on a different level. Thousands of elephants. I think it's got the highest population of elephants in the world. Hippos, crocs, buffalo, and so much more there along the river. So we went on a river cruise safari in the morning and then came back to the hotel for lunch. And in the afternoon, we were on land watching the animals move across the plains and down by the river. I've been on safaris in other countries, but this is the first time I've ever had an encounter with a leopard. And he was like right next to the vehicle. He walked right between the cars at one point. We got to hang out with him for a good little bit of time, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. He was just kind of walking along the edge of the road and we were just able to follow him. It was pretty incredible. I was able to get some beautiful shots that I'm super happy about of this leopard like right next to us. That was definitely one of my favorite things. It was like stepping straight into a Netflix nature documentary. One of the things I love most about this trip wasn't just the waterfalls or the wildlife. It was the time that Phoenix and I had exploring new places, seeing God's creation, and making memories that I know that we'll talk about and treasure for the rest of our lives. From the ministry time in Uganda to the mighty Zambezi River to the wildlife in Botswana, this trip was a reminder that the world is huge. It's beautiful and it's worth exploring, especially with the people that you love. If you've enjoyed this story, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, maybe drop a comment. If you got questions about planning a trip to Victoria Falls or some other places that we've been or using your points for travel, I'd love to help you out.